Started. Thank you guys for joining today. We have Ron, who is our compliance manager for all of Ohio. So if you don't know, he's the guy that approves a deal, approves a listing, approves a sale, so that you get paid. And if there's something wrong with the file, if there's something missing, a signature, anything like that, he'll send it back, and basically, until it's correct in 100%, I guess legal, you essentially you don't get paid. So we thought we'd have this to kind of give you guys a heads up on kind of maybe what he looks for, and also just kind of Ron will be clicking around in SkySlope, and if you guys have any questions throughout, don't hesitate to unmute or put a question in chat. But I'm going to kind of let Ron take it over and start from the sort of the beginning, but also maybe give you some tips and tricks, and then mix in really what he looks for and the importance of submitting slopes, in a timely manner, and when to do that. So I'm going to kind of let him just do all that, and I will hand it over to you, Ron.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Wayne. But, as Wayne said, my main task with ERA is in the state of Ohio is to act as a compliance broker, meaning that we review all the files to make sure that they're compliant with real estate law before anybody gets paid. And some people might ask, well, why do we do this? What's the big deal? And what we look for, or what we try to guard against, mainly is two things: is that at any point in time, our files are open to a random audit by the state of Ohio, meaning that the state of Ohio can come in, just do a random audit of the files, and just look for things that might be in order or things that might be wrong. So if something's in the file and there's something that's wrong, it can lead to suspensions, fines, not only for the broker, but also for the agent. And then likewise, if there's a complaint that's filed, to the state of Ohio, they will investigate the complaint. And what that does is that it doesn't open up the file just for the portion relating to the complaint. It opens up the entire file. So what that means is that the state of Ohio could receive a complaint about anything. And then at that point in time, the state is going to open up an investigation, and they're going to request to review all the documents within the file. During their investigation, they may find that there is no violation of any real estate law pertaining to the item that the complaint was filed about, but they also open up the entire file for a review, and they may find there's something that's wrong with one of the documents, which could lead again to a fine or suspension by the state of Ohio. Again, not only for the agent but also for the broker. So we just try to do things to kind of safeguard, everyone, make sure the agents can continue to, do business and not have any problems, in the future. So I was kind of thinking about what's the best way to approach this, and it can on the surface can be kind of daunting using the system and trying to decide what direction to go in. So what I wanted to do was I was just going to share my screen, and then at that point in time just kind of walk through creating a slope. We're going to create a listing slope, and then as I go, different things that I look for, different tips, tricks on how to organize your slope, things that I look for, things that could create an issue where your file is going to be returned, and request additional information. And again, like I said, as I go through, I'm going to just kind of go through different tips and tricks about what we how to make the whole process easier for you. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so this is this is our main page where we, log into SkySlope. I'm already logged into this, and this is the page that pops up when I start reviewing, documents. But if we go to our main page over here, okay, and when I want to start a file, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to, manage transactions. And then over here, move these over here. I come into this green button right here where I'm going to create a transaction. Okay, now if I've started anything which is an envelope, so if I'm over, I'm going to get out of here first. I'm going to come over here into forms. And this is where we would normally start all of our transactions. When I've got a prospect or somebody I'm working with, I would come over to this section right here where it says create, and I'm just going to create one right now. I'm going to say I am going to, in this case, I'm going to represent a seller, and this is just going to be Tom Seller. Email is required. In this case, we're just making up a fictitious person, so I'm going to put in my email address. I'll drop down there. Again, I'm going to go back here, change these names. And then at this point in time, right here, if I want to add a significant other, somebody else, as far as a primary client, I would just click here and add the same information, their name, last name, and then an email address. Right here is asking, is my client a trust or other entity? And if it is, it's going to ask for the name of the organization. So that might be, Tom's Investment Properties LLC, and everything would be in that name. So I'm going to go back here and redo this again. Okay, now the property, if this property is non-fictitious, I should say, like if I'm looking at my address, so it'll come down here and it'll identify, okay, and I could just click on that address and it'll populate all that information. But I've used this address for a few different training situations, so I can't use it again. So I'm just going to make up an address. That street, we're going to be in Cincinnati. (45202) is downtown Cincinnati and Hampton. And it's going to ask me, do I want to use my name this under my primary client, which would be Tom Seller, or just use the address? I always just use the address. Okay. Now I went ahead and I created a template, and I'll go back and I'll show you how to do that. But this is my listing docs template, which is already set up. I have 9 forms in here. So I'm just going to click on that template, say, yes, I'm going to use that, and then hit create. Okay, so now I have this initial, file set up. I got the name of the property, the 123 Test Street. These are my forms. And then I've got, envelopes when I'm, sending documents to somebody, a listing of any signed documents, and then we get into different file details. We'll come back to that in a second. But in my forms, like I said, over here, I have my everything in here. I have what I would normally need for a listing. I have my affiliate business arrangement, multiple listing coming soon, consumer guide, the delayed entry form, which I need if I'm going to have a coming soon, my disclosure for lead-based paint, the actual listing contract. I'm sorry, I have this disclosure here. Yeah, it's another lead-based paint. And I have my MLS new listing validation form, and then my residential property disclosure. So one of the first tricks that I try to point out to people is that you can set up these templates, okay, but if we know that we're not going to need some of these documents, we can simply just get rid of these. So if I'm going to be in a situation where I'm just going to list the property and put it in the MLS immediately, then I don't need the coming soon, the delayed entry. So actually go back and delete that one. Under the delayed entry, I can delete that one. And in this example here, I'm just going to say that this is the age of the house where I don't need the lead-based paint. So I can just delete that as well. So at that point in time, okay, these are the forms I'm going to need for my listing. And I like to arrange them in some kind of fashion that I feel more comfortable with. So I'm going to put my residential property disclosure here, consumer guide, affiliate. Okay, so I'm ready. So at that point in time, then I want to select all of these forms. And I want to fill those out and send those. So here's a listing of all of my forms that are going to be in this initial envelope. Wait for these to load up. Okay, so some of the information is already going to be preloaded in here. All right. Where I have the name of ERA Real Solutions Realty. I work out of the Liberty Township office. So, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I'm just going to have here the start of my listing, which is going to be 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just going to pick today's date. And then my expiration date, where I will just go out to roughly 6 months in the future. I'm going to end it on the 31st, and that automatically fills in. Parcel number, I'll get that off the county website. I'm just going to make one up here. It'll drop it in there, and then my sales price, we're just going to do 400,000. Okay, so then as you go through, now this is our Cincinnati-based listing contract. One of the main reasons why somebody has a file which is returned is that they don't take the time to actually go through this entire contract and fill out any all these different blanks. I mean, to me, the ideal thing is that if something doesn't apply, this talks about certain parking spaces. I just like to hit NA on these so that I know that I'm going through all of these. Right here, anything specifically excluded, other things that are included, all the way down. This section here, I've had another calls on it, but again, just for time purposes, I tell people read through this, click the boxes, anything that's appropriate. This is probably the number one reason why something gets returned is that people are not filling out this information, and it's the pertinent information that needs to be in here is skipped. This is one that a lot of people tend to forget. Anybody that has any dower rights or has the ability to sell the property. So this is going to be Tom Seller. He's going to be single. Oh, got the caps on here. I'm not sure if Christian's asking a question or not. Real estate commission, there's a lot of talk about that. Right now, I'm just putting here 6% my protection period for 30 days. And then right here, out of this 6%, I have authorization to pay the co-op agent 3%. And again, all the way down, this trips up a lot of people here, whether or not the property is subject to a short sale or third-party approval. If it's subject to a short sale, there's additional documentation that needs to be filled out. I've talked to some other agents where they'll check this, and because it's a Cardis relocation, there's a third party who is, has to be informed of the sale. So, in that situation, that could be checked, yes, as well. But then again, like I said, going down, the main reason why somebody's contract is returned is because they have information which is missing out of the listing contract. So come down here, and then, okay, so again, I'm not going to fill that whole thing out. This goes into the residential property disclosure form. Again, this is something that is normally filled out by, or it should be filled out by the owner of the property. And that's about as far as I can go as far as pre-filling out this form. We'll see how the rest of this gets filled out by the owner or seller of the property. We have our consumer guide. We have the affiliate business, and using today's date. And this is the lead paint. Again, we said that we weren't going to use this. I'm going to go ahead and take that out. Right here, this is the multiple listing validation form. So keep in mind, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. Okay, if you, at this point in time, we do not have a valid MLS number. So we can get this signed, but then with the authorization, I'm going to, authorization is granted. We're going to do it immediately, but inform, the sellers that you're going to have to go back in and put in this multiple listing number. Or what you can do is that if you know for sure you're going to have this property listed, you can go into the multiple listing service and you can start to enter a listing. And when you start to enter that listing, an MLS file number or listing number will be assigned to that address, and you can just save that as an incomplete listing, and it'll already generate a MLS form file number for you. So again, I'm just going to make one up here, 1978-65. You just go forward with that. There's my expiration date we had to put in there. Okay, in that point in time, okay, probably the longest thing is going to be filling out the contract, reading that, making sure every slot is filled out, and then we just have this prepared for signatures. So again, in this situation, Tom Seller needs to sign. This is a listing contract, so myself, I do need to sign that. Now, if there's a situation that and kind of like a when in doubt thing, because this will also apply to the lead paint disclosure. A lot of people, agents either fail to initial the lead paint disclosure or fail to sign the lead paint disclosure. So if you just automatically select this, even if you don't need to sign something, it's not going to harm anything. But if you just click that you need to sign, it's just going to be a good reminder for you to go back, check the file, see if there is something that you need to sign or initial on the documents. We'll just hit next. So this is preparing everything. And I'll come down here, and if you see this section up here, okay, it has a place for, it starts with signatures for our seller, on the affiliated, on the consumer guide, on our lead paint. So this is something that they need to fill out for the lead paint. In this situation, we have no reports, so we'll just click on that. It's got the place where I'm supposed to initial signature, then my signature as well. This gets into our contract. As I said, I didn't fill out much on the contract just to speed things along here for us. But again, that's where the listing agent needs to sign at the bottom of the contract as well. This here has our multiple listing validation. And again, the number was put in here because we'll make the assumption that we went ahead and did a temporary listing or started the listing, and we got a file number already that's generated. And then place for the owner to sign, and then where I'm going to sign it. When we get to our residential property disclosure, now we're in a situation where it's pretty self-explanatory. And if you talk to your client beforehand, let them know that this is coming. It's fairly easy. So that's going to be something that they need to fill out once they receive it to sign. So that's ready to go. Okay, so that's all of our documents. I'm just going to hit sign. And whatever you want to put in here. I also like to call my clients beforehand, let them know that this information is coming. Just a quick message, and that's sent off. Okay, so since I'm working out of this system right now, okay, there's an envelope that's been sent to me, giving me notice, but this pops up saying, do I want to sign something right now? So I'm going to go ahead and just say, yes, I want to sign now. Just I agree to electronic signatures. Okay, so right up here, I can go through and I can search for what I need to sign, or I can just hit start. It's going to take me down to lead-based paint. I need to put in my initials. Okay, I just always grab this first signature, accept that, sign there. Okay, so that I was just signing the bottom of the lead paint disclosure. Then it takes me down to the bottom of the listing contract, and then at the MLS validation. Okay, so my side, I'm finished signing, and I'm not going to review those documents now. I know what they say. So what happens here is that I've been dumped into this section right here, which is called the envelope. So we got the forms, we've got an envelope. Anytime something is sent to somebody, it creates an envelope. And you can see here that 1 out of 2 people have signed this envelope right here. So they'll keep in mind, okay, we made a fictitious person. His name is Tom Seller. Tom doesn't have a fictitious email, so we had to use, my email. So I came here. And now we're just waiting for those documents to come in. Okay, so while we're waiting on that, I'll show you. So I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to our test here. This 1, 2, 3, test street. Well, no, I can do it right now. Okay, so as you continue with your file, you'll create numerous envelopes here. And so actually, I'm going to go back to files. I'm going to show you one that I've been working on for a long time. I've actually, this is somebody I've been representing, and we're selling his house. We finally got it pending. It's going to close on February 1st. But I've had this property listed on 2 different occasions over a 2-year time period because it took the builder 2 years to complete his house. And so it's right here. It's Lavinia Avenue. So go in there. These are all the different forms that we've used, throughout this process. But right here, these are all the different envelopes that I have used with this client of mine. So you went up here, and I kind of did this as I was cleaning up my own files. But right here, I've got my defect notice, counter offer, Lavinia, final contract. So again, it's very easy to get a number of different envelopes that are in here. So I'm going to go back to our test file. 1, 2, 3 test street. And I'm going to go into my envelope. And so one trick I found that kind of keeps these things organized. I'm going to rename that, but I'm just going to go here and just put listing docs. I can save that. And then I know, exactly what is in this envelope right here. Okay, so this is our so just keep in mind, so if this was Tom Seller's email address, he's going to receive an envelope or an email, and it just has the heading in there that I sent to him, listing docs, you have documents to sign. When he clicks on this, it says, Ron Quackenmeyer has requested your signature. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And I don't want to download these. Okay, so all right, we ran into a problem here. Let me see what's wrong. Okay, so I got confused myself because of the using my own name. The one that I picked up was actually copies of the documents that I signed myself. Sorry about that. I know it's a little confusing, but this is actually the customer's signatures that are requested. So again, right here, the customer can go through, read all these, click on this, okay, or he can just come right up here and get started. Okay, so right in here, okay, and this is what I try to tell people. Let's say, for instance, okay, I've always known him as Tom Seller, but his real name is Thomas. He can change that right there. Maybe Thomas R. Seller. Okay, so, and you can see how his signature and his initials have changed. So this can change right here. That's one of the tricks that I learned, is that even though you type in something original, your client can actually change the signature line at that point right there. I'm going to go back to Tom. You see the signature and initials have changed again. You can check, whatever, you know, fits your personality. Again, I just try to keep things simple. I'm going to use that signature. Okay, it automatically had him sign the affiliate business disclosure. It's going to come right down. It's going to sign this consumer guide. Okay, so this is the one that I pre-checked. Okay, it says seller has no reports, and it has my signature, and then it's going to have the seller signature. This one is prompting me. Chris and I had a conversation about this, but it's prompting me to check this, that seller has no knowledge of lead-based paint, and seller has no reports regarding any of the above information. This is our contract that we had talked about. Again, filling out every one of these blanks, every one of these check boxes is really going to help you to make sure that everything is complete and to make sure that something doesn't get returned. The client can just simply initial. Okay, it's asking me to check one of these. And here he's just going through the contract, checking through, initialing everything, and his final initial. His MLS form, he initialed. Okay, and then this is the residential property disclosure that he needs to fill out. He's in there May 2008. And again, I'll go through this as quick as I can. Okay, nothing here. So it's asking me to, it's prompting me to go to every one of these, whether or not it's yes, and I need more information, or no. I still have a place where I can, maybe I got, here, any current leaks with the roof, but I could put in here, new roof 2021. Any water intrusions? No. I'm going to initial that one again. Again, it lets me add any additional notes that I want to as I go through here. It's about termites. Any other problems with any mechanical systems? None that I'm aware of. And there's an old saying about filling something like this out, is that it's better to disclose than to go through discovery, meaning that discovery is something that happens when there's a lawsuit. So when in doubt, it's a lot better to go ahead and disclose something as opposed to be in a situation where you might end up in a lawsuit and they're going through discovery. So always better to disclose than to discover. No zoning issues. Okay, at this point in time, the seller could download his documents or view his documents. But we again, this is his email. You can just get out of that, out of that. I'm going to go back to my slope, and right there we saw that live. It went from one person to two people signed this, and that's a, that envelope is completed, and we've already renamed this into, listing documents. Okay, so my listing is completed now, but now I want to get it into SkySlope to have it reviewed. So I'm going to get out of my forms. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm going to go to our manage transactions. And right up here in this section here, okay, I'm going to hit create transaction. So before, everything we were working out with our own envelopes, think of that as just that working off of your own, desktop. And now we are putting everything into the actual SkySlope system that myself and also the office coordinators, can review. So if you can imagine, the old school way would be you've just left your client's house, you filled out the new listing documents, you're taking it to the office, and now we're getting ready to turn that file into the office. We're turning in a new listing. So we're working out of my name. These are different envelopes or different files that I've been working with. This is our file right here, the 123 Test Street, and we're just going to select that. And put in my name here. And the ones that have these asterisks, these are the ones that are required. Our list price was 400,000. Source of lead, I just always put in there most Monterey personal referrals. Okay, acceptance date, we don't have an acceptance date yet. Don't have a closing date yet. Type of checklist. It is a residential sale. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to this. Sorry about this, guys. Got ahead of myself. Okay, so that was in our management side. That's what I would be using. I'm sorry about this. That would be if I was, had a listing, or if I was doing a transaction that I was turning in while I was on a purchase. I'm going to manage listings, and I'm going to create a listing over here. Same area, same process. We're just going to create the listing, and we have this assistant pops up. Again, pulling from my files, I'm going to use the test street and go to my next question. Agent name. This lists all of our office. I work out of the Westchester office, and it is a resale property. We already have our list price in there. Total commission, we put in 6 and 3. We have our listing date, we have our expiration date. We have our seller and email address. If we want to add an additional seller at this point in time, we can. Then so that has all the basic information, and I would create my listing. Okay, so when I get ready to submit something, this is basically my shell of my slope that I want to submit. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to come over here into the documents. And if we see here, okay, all of our documents that we have shared with our client have already dropped into this documents folder. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to assign these. So I'm going to click on this, just hit assign, and I'm going to drop down to property disclosure, assign that. Agency disclosure on lead-based paint. I'm going to assign that to lead paint disclosure. The actual listing contract and the listing agreement. Consumer guide. My MLS validation, I'm just gonna, it's not really necessary for real estate law, but I'm just gonna put this under my listing addendums. I can turn it into the office. And then I have my affiliate, which drops right down into this one, assign. Okay, so you see by these check marks are going against all of these documents. So all of these documents have been assigned to a checklist from back here. So now this file is ready. You know, basically, at this point in time, you don't have to do anything else with this file. So I can go in here, double check this, my consumer guide. In our correct location. I've got my seller's name. Now I'm good to go with that.
So Ron, quick
Yeah.
question. So I gathered up all this paperwork and
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna put it in the MLS because that's kind of my, you know, like I want it in the MLS as the agent. Um, when should, when does this need to be submitted to you? So it's sort of a should in a need. Like, is there a time frame where this absolutely has to get to you? And is there a benefit if you know if you don't need it tonight,
Yeah.
you know, what's the benefit of me actually taking the you know the 5-10 minutes whatever it takes to to kind of finalize this and get it to you?
Probably the thing is that while you're working on it, while it's fresh in your mind, um, it's probably best to do it immediately and get it done and get it out of the way. On numerous occasions, what will happen is that I will go ahead and receive a closed transaction where I need to review the transaction and then also review the listing documents all at one time. I mean, some people will wait and submit everything at one time. In that situation, if there's something wrong with the listing paperwork, it'll be rejected and returned, and it'll hold up someone getting paid. So, so I guess at the very latest, for someone to get paid would be the day they bring the commission check in. It's probably not very wise to wait that long, though. I would go ahead and submit it, as quickly as possible. So then to just give you a general idea, okay, this is going to, okay, really there's nothing else for the agent to do at this point in time. They're just, this status right here is initial coordinator to review. That's going to pop up, for the office coordinators to review these documents and make notes, make adjustments, request additional information from the agent. Once the office coordinator feels comfortable with it, they're going to move it over to compliance broker to review. Okay, and then just log out of that. Okay, so looking at this now, so just to give you an idea, this is what my day is so far today, is to review these files. So I have mine filtered that it just pulls up anything which has been moved over to compliance broker to review. I'll go to page 2 here. All right, and under listings, all right, this is our file right here. I would look at that, and so it's incomplete. Okay, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because um, obviously we've gone through this together. We know there's some things that are missing, but I basically click on these. Listing contract pops up. I'll go through the entire listing contract, make sure that it populates, make sure everything. So if I saw this being blank, this file would be returned. Um, if I saw these blanks right here, I would just, and I try to get it as descriptive as possible. I would say line 172, is checked, yes, subject to a short sale. Additionally, is this correct, or please submit additional paperwork. If we go down here and the, something is missing, this is typical. If I can find it here real quick for us. A lot of people will get confused on this. Well, they'll have the compensation, the confusion on the compensation. They'll miss this line here, line 130. They'll just leave that blank. If somebody leaves this blank, I pretty much know that they've never read the contract, and maybe they should go back for some basic training. But I'll just put here line 130, is blank. Please complete. So I'll go through the whole thing. Look at all the different documents. And then if it's acceptable, I'll hit accept. And there turns green. So for instance, if this file is fine, okay, I would just accept all these documents. Okay, let's see, we come down here, and again, I review this, and maybe the agent forgot to check that they needed to sign. Or again, a lot of times too is that there's a lot of our agents still that don't use this system. They'll be using the handwritten. They'll be meeting with their owners in person. They don't use the system, and they're just filling this out with ballpoint pen. They may miss this right here. If these initials are missing, okay, I'll return that document, and I will just hear that I'm going to reject this. It'll ask me why, and I'll say initials, save that. All right, that turns purple. I'll come up here, and again, I can contact the agent. I'm gonna add my Gmail account. And I'll send that notice to the agent. At that point in time, instead of approving the listing right here, I'm actually going to send that back to the office coordinator. And then I just simply go on to my next document that I need to review. So Wayne, how long do you want to go today? Just about an hour? Or,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if maybe we just open it up now to,
okay.
Does anyone have any questions? Hopefully this was helpful.
Because we can go on to, and I think we should do it in another, because in another Zoom, I was like, okay, what happens next? Once you do get a contract that comes in on your listing, what to look for, what the process is, how to proceed. But then again, if anybody has any questions about the system in general or on their particular file, you can call me, you can email me, text me. If anybody wants some one-on-one training, we can meet at one of the offices. Or if one of the offices want me to come out and run through a training session with them, which is which is really useful because what we can do is we can have like a live training where if somebody they can see what's happening from the time where they enter something into their system, what I see, and the interaction that goes back and forth, live. It's really enlightening to a lot of the agents that way.
Yeah,
But
we can definitely plan another, one of these sessions, maybe next month, even March or whatever.
yeah,
But again, anybody that does have any questions or wants more, can reach right out to Ron or your office manager. And certainly, we don't have to wait till we have another session if you need anything. So
yeah.
And I can attest to it. Ron has presented to our Liberty agents before and does a great job, especially one-on-one, where he can dive right into a question more specific to the agent. So thanks, Ron. We appreciate all this.
Yeah, and I'll just take a second here. So a couple of these I looked at this morning. Um, so nothing takes place in this file. This is one of John's that I looked at this morning. So this is one that's already been through the review process once, and he went ahead and added this additional addendum, into his purchase addendums. So a couple of things that John does a really good job at. And like you see, if I come over here, I got documents, but I'm going to go over to the log right here. We can see, so this is me looking at John's file this morning and kind of reviewing it. So anytime anybody goes into, one of the files and does anything or even looks at a document, there's a record of it. So we have that information. It's not that we're playing Big Brother, but it's good for us to go back and look at things. But I just want to show you that I kind of reviewed his file earlier this morning. But like in his checklist, if I go look at this is really, really helpful, is that he gives me this information, post closing, occupancy addendum added on the 19th. And I can see if there's, any, these are notes that John has added to this. If I come up here into the addendums, okay, so this is what pops up for me. So I'm looking at 4 different, file or documents that's inside of, this checklist. And I can see this is addendum / purchase number 2, Cincinnati Board of Realtors -1 PDF. Okay, it's kind of a goofy file name, but I can see that it was submitted on the 19th. So if I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, this is probably the one I need to review. Okay, so I'll look at that. What was really helpful is that he told me what it was. So that helps me tremendously. But again, he's got here still to have post occupancy until January 31st, up till 5 p.m. Looks like it was initialed, by everybody, signatures by everybody. Okay, that's great. Okay, I can get out of there. Okay, but just something that helps. It helps me, but also it helps the agents to not to get confused on things. Is, let's just say, for instance, John put this document in here. So there's that first document right there, the addendum purchase. Mentions the whole thing. Yep, okay, that's the same document. But I could go over here just to clean things up. if I want to rename that document, and just put I can just rename it post-closing occupancy. And when I do my files, I keep them pretty clean and pretty simple like that, so I know what the documents are. Okay. So now I know what that is. I can assign it. Now the fact that I've changed John's file name. Okay, if I come back here in the checklist, and if I look at the same checklist, that file I can see, okay, he's talking about the post-closing occupancy, and it's renamed post-closing occupancy. That makes it really easy for us to review it. And it also keeps his file neat and clean. I'm going to go back in here and rename this back to what it was so I don't mess up his files. Checklist. And we significantly have worn this one out. It's going to prove it. Right here, I'm going to go down here. This is approved, ready to pay. See who was going to. Sometimes I'll put a note here. And John's been notified, and go on to my next one, and that one disappears out of my list. But anyway, so if there's any questions, again, I'd be happy to meet with anybody on one-on-one or do a group training.
That's awesome. I don't play in here a lot, but it was kind of cool to see and hear how, you know, the little tips and tricks in getting something done, but most importantly, getting it approved.
Yeah.
So, in the fact that the sooner it gets sent in, the better, so that, you know, it's just out of the way for you. Like no one has to worry about, you know, the listing being approved or the buyer contract being, you know, everything being approved. You get paid, you know, it's just kind of nice. And like John, you know, he added something even after it was approved the first time, you know, but but he didn't have to, you know, you didn't have to go through the whole thing at that point. You went through one file and sort of reapproved it.
Yeah.
So it's not like that one approval blocks, you know, and says, oh, that's it. You know, you can't add a document or you can't, you know, change a document. That's just saying, hey, it's approved now. If something does change it and then resubmit it. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just good to do it, you know, sooner the better to get those documents to the office coordinator and to you. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody have any questions? Are you guys good for now? We let me know if you guys want another session like this, or if you know, if you do want something internally in the office, let me know. So you know, happy to you know, do either way. So but otherwise, thank you so much, Ron. It was awesome. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to help.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Take care.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
Angel, I will send the recording out probably this afternoon. So anybody that wants to rewatch it, I'll send that out this afternoon. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.